Hi, I'm Kimberlyn. When you find yourself in need of inspiration or guided introspection, that's what I do, and that's why I'm here. Storytime is a virtual meeting space where we gather to connect. This journey of life is all about connection, and yoga is the practice of building and nurturing authentic connections. By sharing our stories, we share our hearts. We connect more deeply, more intimately with ourselves and each other. So whether it's live and in real time or anytime on your time, we're here to be together. Whether it's related to your practice on the mat or out in the world, to me, it's all yoga. And by that, I mean that yoga is a way of being in the world. It's all part of living and learning. In other words, we are not here to be perfect or perform, but rather to practice. So let me be clear. I'm not here because I have it all figured out. On the contrary, I'm here because I believe in practice. And that no matter what we've accomplished, what we've endured, life is better when we come together authentically and compassionately to share our stories, to share our burdens, to share our celebrations. Welcome to Storytime. I am so glad that you are here. Today we wrap up our adventure with Hanuman and Ram, and we find rest for Sita in her rescue and safe return home. So get comfortable, take a breath, and let's begin again. Our story continues. King Ravana had banished Prince Vibhishana from the palace. When Vibhishana heard that Ram had landed on the Isle of Lanka, he went to join him immediately. Ram saw that the young prince was just and good and gladly accepted him as an ally. "My evil brother has done enough harm," Vibhishana told Ram. "I will help you defeat him." Ram gave Ravana many chances to avoid bloodshed. Time and time again, he sent the same message: return Sita and you will be forgiven. Otherwise, you will pay dearly. But Ravana was too arrogant to listen. "Sita is mine, all mine," he'd snarl. "Win no matter what the cost," he ordered his soldiers. The demons used all kinds of trickery and dark magic, but Ram's army fought valiantly and advanced on the battlefield. However, Ravana's son, Indrajit, had the power to invoke a deadly weapon called Brahmastra. He went to a secret grove, lit an invisible smokeless fire, whispered secret mantras to Brahma, and finally poured specially prepared hot oil on the fire from an iron ladle. A total blackout fell upon the grove. Then, out of the intense darkness, arose a shimmering white chariot pulled by 4 wild horses. Indrajit mounted the Brahmastra chariot, shook the reins, and dashed to the battlefield. "Victory to the Demon King, Ravana!" he shouted. The demons could see Indrajit and his magic chariot, but he was invisible to Ram's animal army. They could not defend themselves against the fiery arrows Indrajit rained down upon them. These magical arrows were infused with the power of Brahmastra and spread a cloak of deep sleep over the entire army. In honor of Brahma, even Ram and Lakshman submitted to the power of Brahmastra and fell to the ground unconscious. By midday, there was no one left awake to fight. Well, almost no one. The spell of Brahmastra did not hurt Jambavan, as he was, after all, Lord Brahma's son. The Lord simply pulled the arrow out, rubbed his eyes, and stood up. A few steps away, Prince Vibhishana, who was also unaffected by the spell, was checking on the dead and the wounded. Jambavan called to him, "Leave them for now. We first need to find Hanuman. If Hanuman is safe, everyone else will be saved too. Victory is still within our grasp." From across the battlefield, Hanuman heard these words and sped to Jambavan. "I am fine," he said. "What can I do for you?" Jambavan, besides being the king of bears, was a physician as well, and he knew the healing powers of all the herbs and plants. In great haste, he tried to teach Hanuman how to identify the herbs he would need, telling him what color flowers and what shape fruit to search for. These herbs grow on Sanjivani mountain, the medicine mountain, in the foothills of the Himalayas. "Go there at once," he said. "We have no time to spare." These herbs grow on Sanjivani mountain, the medicine mountain, in the foothills of the Himalayas. "Go there at once," he said. "We have no time to spare." It took Hanuman only a few seconds to travel to the Himalayas. As he landed on the slopes of the Sanjivani mountain, he could see herbs everywhere, glowing in the light of the setting sun, their fruits and flowers sparkling like gemstones. They were beautiful and they looked powerful, but they all looked the same to him. He hesitated over one plant and then another, unsure which to pick. Finally, he decided to take them all, and he began to dig at the base of the mountain. "Ah, I see the whole mountain wishes to come with me," he said with a chuckle, and he headed back to Lanka, carrying the entire mountain in the palm of his hand. Jambavan got to work right away, preparing the concoctions and poultices from the mountain herbs that Hanuman brought to him. Under the old bear's expert care, row upon row upon row of unconscious animal soldiers woke from their deep sleep, rubbed their eyes, their wounds miraculously healed. Cries of victory to Hanuman filled the air. Hope was restored. "The whole universe is grateful to you, Hanuman. Thank you for saving our lives," said Ram. Now that the animal soldiers were revived, Ram's army advanced once again on the battlefield, and the tide quickly turned in their favor. It was Lakshman who struck the deciding blow, using a sacred weapon given to him by Lord Indra. He released the razor-sharp arrow that killed Ravana's son Indrajit. Ravana roared in anger and sorrow at the loss of his son, but he was far too arrogant and stubborn to surrender. Instead, he chose to duel with Ram. It would prove to be his last battle. After hours of hard combat, Ram aimed a fatal arrow at Ravana's navel, and the evil demon spirit floated away. Finally, the world was freed from Ravana's tyranny. As he had been warned so often, Ravana paid with his life for stealing Sita from Ram. The noble prince Vibhishana became the new king of Lanka, and after the coronation, he accompanied Ram, Sita, and Lakshman and their army of monkeys on a ride in the flying Pushpaka chariot. In the twinkling of an eye, they reached the kingdom of Ayodhya. Ram's return to Ayodhya marked the end of a long exile. If you remember, Ram had left the kingdom to honor his father's promise. Though Ram was their rightful heir, King Dasharatha had decreed that Ram's brother Bharat should rule Ayodhya first. In the 14 years that Ram spent wandering the earth, he had cleared the world of countless cruel and deceitful demons. He had done well, but oh, how good it felt to come home at last. In a splendid and elaborate ceremony, Ram was crowned king of Ayodhya. On this happy occasion, everyone received gifts. I would never have found Sita without your help, Ram said to Hanuman, handing him a long, gleaming necklace. Will this string of pearls please your heart? A while later, King Vibhishana spotted Hanuman sitting by himself, popping the pearls into his mouth and crunching them up into little shards. What are you doing? You don't eat pearls. Spit them out. Don't you know how precious they are? Cried Vibhishana. They have no value to me, as they do not bear Ram's name, said Hanuman. What do you mean? You don't bear Ram's name either. Does that mean you also are without value? Teased Vibhishana. Hanuman looked up. Wordlessly, he split open his own chest with his sharp nails. An image of Ram, Sita, and Lakshman glowed in the center of his heart, and the name Ram appeared on his body, written over and over and over again. Vibhishana fell to his knees in awe. Ram hurried to Hanuman's side, closed the wound with a touch of his fingers, and then embraced the monkey. What a truly precious monkey you are. What a wise, courageous, and perfect monkey. A true friend. Here, leave these pearls and take my signet ring instead. Ram slipped his gold signet ring onto Hanuman's finger. As long as you live on earth, always be sure to help the meek and innocent. Yes, my lord, I will, Hanuman promised and kissed the inscription on the ring. Ram, Ram, Ram. As we conclude this tale, I have 3 final lessons for us as modern yogis. The first is dharma over loyalty. And this I'm referring to Vibhishana's choice. His choice to choose righteousness over blind allegiance, even to his brother Ravana. Vibhishana, though Ravana's brother, chose to follow dharma, or his moral duty, rather than stand by evil. He recognized the harm Ravana was causing and instead allied himself with Ram, the embodiment of virtue. For modern yogis, this is a call to practice discernment, viveka, and take a stand for what is right, even when it challenges familiar relationships or social expectations. In yoga, this aligns with satya, truthfulness, and ahimsa, non-harming, choosing integrity, even when it's uncomfortable. Secondly, selfless service and devotion. And here we look at Hanuman's heart, encouraging us to live with unwavering devotion and to let our actions come from love, not ego or reward. Hanuman's act of rejecting the pearls because they did not bear Ram's name and revealing the divine imprinted on his heart reflects the purest form of bhakti or devotion. His service was not for recognition or reward, but for deep love. For yogis today, this encourages seva, selfless service, and reminds us that true value lies in what is heartfelt and aligned with spirit, not in material possessions or even praise. And thirdly, humility and forgiveness in our leaders and leadership. And this is particularly exemplified by Ram. Ram offers peace before war. He acts with compassion and he leads with humility. Throughout the story, Ram gives Ravana multiple chances to return Sita peacefully, showing compassion even toward his enemy. He respects Vibhishana's moral courage by accepting him into his army and embraces Hanuman at the end of the story with humility. His leadership reflects kshama, forgiveness, and titiksha, endurance and patience, key yogic virtues. Modern yogis are reminded here that strength includes gentleness and that being right does not excuse arrogance or unnecessary harshness. These three characters, Vibhishana, Hanuman, and Ram, personify the lessons and remind us that yoga is not simply a posture practice, but a path for ethical living rooted in values like discernment, devotion, compassion, and courageous action. Perhaps we reflect on these three characters as models for our own growth. So here are 3 reflection questions, one for each key character, to support personal insight and yogic growth. First, for Vibhishana, the courageous seeker of truth and righteous justice. When have you had to choose truth over loyalty or comfort? And what did that choice reveal about your values? Two, Hanuman, the devoted servant. What does devotion look like in your own life? And how do you stay connected to purpose when your efforts go unseen, unrecognized, maybe even unappreciated? And finally, Ram, the compassionate leader. How do you balance strength and compassion in your decisions, especially when faced with those who oppose or wish to harm you? In closing, whether you visit us in person or online, whether it's for one-on-one or a group experience, we want to meet you in the practice. We want to support you in living your life's work, your dharma. As we close, receive this blessing. May you breathe deeply, move freely, labor lovingly, and live vibrantly. May you be well. Namaste. I'll see you next time when we explore a new story in our Adventure Storytime series on yoga myths, tales, and legends. Next time, we'll meet Arjuna and Karna in a competition for the title of Greatest Archer. In the meantime, be sure to check out the Coaches Chat on this final chapter of Hanuman's story to discuss this episode with more detail and discussion, more insight and application. Thanks for being here. Take care of you and take care of each other. This is yoga living. It took Hanuman only a few